Hello there, you beautiful soul. Welcome back to another Culture Talk segment with your host and founder of Cultured Society. My name is Rebecca Munoz, and I am here with another special guest to talk about life philosophies, experiences, and culture. This guest that I have here today is a gentleman that I have known now for 14 years. And we have had the opportunity, I know, we have had the opportunity to live life together in Los Angeles, where I met Vince. And we lost touch for several years, but the universe always just conspired to bring us back together. And so anytime that I've ever visited LA, we've had an opportunity to reconnect. And Vince is doing such amazing work in this universe. And we are here on this platform to represent the unique souls that are making waves on this planet, that are living in divine purpose, and that are here to create, to explore, and to inspire others that maybe still possibly maybe not have found their purpose yet, or just don't really know what they're here on this earth to do. So we are here to create this platform so that you yourself can know that you have a divine purpose as well. I truly believe that even though we are uniquely designed, we all have the very similar components that make up our human anatomy. We have a pumping heart, we have blood flowing through our bodies, we have eyes to see, we have a brilliant mind that allows us to really live out each day so uniquely. And so regardless if you have similar or different philosophies, I truly believe that it's really important for us to open up this dialogue and have conversations that truly reveal who we are as individuals, and to create a space where there is no judgment, where we allow people just to speak their truth. And this is what we're here to do today, is to speak our truth. Yes. So Vince the Alien was originally born on Mars and sent to Earth, crash landing in Los Angeles to spread the gospel about his universe. Vince the Alien is an intergalactic, harmony-obsessed creature, and his music is the record of his mission to find a people to share his journey of love and lust for life with. You can explore more of Vince the Alien's universe and become a part of #TheAlienGang at www.vincethealien.space. And this
gang, gang.
And with this, I introduce the beautiful Vince to this platform. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, Vince. Of course. Thank you, Rebecca, for having me. 14 years. That's crazy.
I know. And we have definitely gone through a very a transformational evolution. I would say you and I are definitely completely different people from the time that we met. Well, I feel like we're the same, but it definitely evolved for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And so, yes. So I'm so excited to have this conversation with you because it's been a while since we've had a conversation to begin with. And so it's going to be really great for us to share your experiences, to share your philosophies, and to share really the experiences that have brought you to this place that you are in today. So with this, I introduce the conversation of life philosophies and cultures with the first question. Vincent, what is your life's philosophy?
Wow, that's a good question to start with. That's like a heavy question to start with. I think for me, I think a lot about purpose and about like our value systems and who we are as individuals and what's important to us and what we value. And for me, I think my philosophy is really to learn how to love and honor who I am as a human being and try to create opportunities for others to learn how to love themselves and honor who they are as human beings too. I think that's something I've always valued. I've learned to value from my experiences in life and growing up. Now, I'm sure we'll hop into this later, but like growing up feeling very ostracized. So I think having that experience really kind of put me in a position where it was important to me to kind of help other people who may have felt ostracized or not, but to try to find to honor their own self-worth and honor who they are as a human being.
So when did that change for you? Because that's so important. I mean, we're living in a society right now. I mean, we're living in a society right now where we have a lot of copy followers. We follow a lot of what's on social media. We follow a lot of what's being fed to us by social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. And we don't really oftentimes know what's real. So how did you come up with that philosophy, or when did that philosophy really come to fruition for you?
I think realistically, it started kind of bubbling up when I was a teenager. I'm a queer artist, and growing up as a queer person, I was not understood or accepted within myself and by others. And I think having that experience really started kind of molding these feelings of knowing how it feels to be ostracized and feel different and feel not connected to the ground that you're walking on and the people that are connected to you. And I think as I started to come into my own as not just a queer person, but as an artist, and starting to understand who I was and what I wanted to talk about and what was important to me, I think it really gave me the opportunity to start kind of tapping into those little things that I was so afraid to tap into, because I felt like I didn't have value, or I didn't have worth, or I was not important, or what I had to say was not important. Growing up being told that who I was terrible and an abomination and horrible and all the words. So I think having that experience really allowed me the opportunity to step back and reevaluate my own personal relationship with God, and then also my own personal relationship to myself. And that was a journey to kind of unlearn all of that negativity that I had kind of allowed myself to become subservient to, really, in a way.
How old were you when that shifted for you?
I would say, honestly, it was a little bit later. I would say probably when I was 21. And I think a big part, a big impact on that was, no, actually, I would say a little bit younger. When I was 14 or 15, I was attending church, and I had a really close group of friends at the time. And I unfortunately had an experience where I was kind of removed from that friend group because there were rumors that I was having some sort of relationship with my friend at the time, who was like my brother, like my brother, like ride or die brother. And there was an intimacy between him and I. It was nothing sexual, romantic, but there was an intimacy that him and I shared as really close friends. And some people kind of misconstrued it, and they ended up kind of removing me from, going to our youth group, because I was pretty heavily involved in the youth group at the time, from participating in the choir, all that kind of stuff. So I basically kind of when that situation happened, I think that was the first time for me where I stepped away and actually felt like confident and strong in who I was. And I was nervous because, looking back on it, I can't believe I stepped out of thinking like that. I honestly look at it like I'm surprised that I didn't come out very depressed and very sad. I was sad, of course, but then I think there was just something in me, which I kind of connect to my relationship with my family, my personal relationship with who God is to me. I think it was just the first time that I realized, like, you have to accept who you are and find the beauty in it and not be so ashamed of it, because you are worthy and you are worth whatever this life has for you. Um, yeah, I think that was the first time, probably around 14 or 15.
Well, I remember when we first met, it was when you started to really talk about your sexuality and you came out during that time. I believe
Yeah.
that you were 21 at that time.
Yeah, I was 21. And I came out because I was like, had my first boyfriend, and I just got to the point where I was like, I'm kind of tired of, I've been living my entire life so far, just like so ashamed of who I am. And I just got to a point where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I don't want to be ashamed. I don't want to lie to the people that I love, because I spent so long lying to my mom, lying to my friends, lying to myself. And I just got to a point where I was like, this is not healthy for me. And being able to have this opportunity with my first boyfriend, seeing both sides of like, because him and I had some really great conversations. And he said to me, like, I know that you're scared, but I want you to step back for a second, and I want you to look at what the path may look like if you continue to build upon the shame and about hiding and lying and not being authentic to yourself, versus what the path will look like if you just embrace who you are, understand that there's going to be struggles, but at least you're walking in like who you are, and like how much more of a powerful position that puts you in, and how much more of a healthy position that'll put you in. So yeah, shout out to him.
Well, this goes into my next question, because this is so important, especially because we are so influenced by the people that we surround ourselves with. So how would you say that your circle of influence has impacted the way that you think and live today?
You know, I think as a kid, when I think about being a kid, I hid a lot. I was very quiet. My mom always tells this story about how when I was a baby, she was scared because I was so quiet. Like, she thought I was going to be a mute. And she tells this story about my grandmother saying to her, like, don't worry about Vincent. He's just like observant. Like, he's a very observant kid. So he's not going to be a mute. And I think, like, when they tell that story, it reminds me of, I was like very quiet as a kid. I hid. I felt different very young. I didn't exactly have the language for it, but I definitely knew that I was different. Um, and so I think growing up, I was very hidden, and having my family not really understanding who I was, and having a long journey of them kind of coming to terms with who I am. I think that impact has sometimes still showed itself up today. You know, I really have to work hard mentally to allow myself to not hide.
Mhm.
And it's not just in who I am as a human, but who I am as an artist sometimes. Like, I have to do a lot of work to allow myself to appreciate my artistry, not hide, take opportunities. Because it was really me trying to, like I mentioned, like unlearn the devaluing system that I kind of allowed myself to take on. And and then, you know, as I got older, I started really surrounding myself with a lot of my friends, a lot of really great, supportive, amazing friends like yourself. And also, you know, my family became a lot more understanding through a lot of really hard conversations, really challenging conversations. Um, and I think that really allowed me the opportunity to feel more supported and feel more heard and feel more seen, and allow myself to be more seen and heard and valued. Um, yeah, hopefully that makes sense.
You talked, you used the word ostracized
Mhm.
quite a bit already. And so what was that experience like for you especially going through that and now going through the evolution and now being where you are today, where you are, revealing a lot of who you are, because being an artist, especially, in the realm that you're in right now, you have to put yourself on platforms that expose you.
Yeah.
So how is it now, going through that evolution of feeling ostracized to being, completely free in who you are?
I mean, it's definitely been a beautiful journey. It still has its challenges. I think we all have this thing that I kind of call an act, like our kind of like go-to, whether that's like a defensive go-to, or you hide, or you yell, or you get angry, or you like the like kind of the responses to things that we have learned. And I think that evolution has really helped me to this day, like kind of identify what that act was. And I think for me, that act was like hiding and and being scared as a result of being ostracized, and all those kind of feelings that come with that. And I think unlearning those things are just still a process for me. I don't think I'll ever arrive, but I think that I'll continue to understand myself better. I think it's given me the opportunity to understand myself better and to be okay with who I am, and to embrace like change and not being afraid of change, and being okay too if my priorities as an artist shift or change or evolve or become something different than what I may have envisioned as a kid. Um, I definitely think it's just helped me really be okay with who I am, and also being okay to be open. Because at the end of the day, like similar to the intention of this podcast, it's like my intention is really like I want to connect with people. Like in the bio that you read, the goal is like finding a people to connect to. And it's like I understand how it feels to be ostracized and how it feels to be different. And I really hope that I can help someone that feels that way too, to recognize like it's okay that you feel that way and it's a legit feeling, but there's also another side too. So like let's get there together. It's not about me being the like savior. It's really about me just being like, oh hey, like let's get there together, because I'm still trying to figure this out too.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you said that you'll never arrive, because through the human experience, it really is an experience. It's a journey. And we never really ever arrive.
Yeah.
It's a constant evolution, and it's so beautiful to be able to accept that and embrace that through the journey of where we'll never arrive, right? And we never fully have it figured out as human beings. We're all going through this human experience, just trying to figure it out. And so the more that we can just embrace that evolution and, this experience as a journey, the more we're able to fully understand. Well, not fully understand, because I think that everybody has a different path, right? So the more that we're able to embrace that, the more compassion we're able to, extend, the more understanding we're able to at least try, right, to get to that place of higher understanding or higher perception of what's actually happening within our experience.
Yeah.
Now, do you believe that the line of work that you do infects our society with positivity?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of negativity. I mean, like in the sense of the industry, but I think that what I do as an artist, I think that it promotes, acceptance. I think it promotes diversity. I think it promotes, I don't really like the word tolerance, but the idea of like understanding other people's perspectives. And I think that a lot of the music that I write, a lot of the songs that I release are really me like working through those things that I'm unlearning, like working through that shame around sexuality. And I'm not talking about like what you identify. I'm talking about like our ideas around intimacy and sexuality and connection and the shame that can be attached to that, and how sometimes I can create something unhealthy. So it's really me like working through that shame or working through the damage of like a past relationship or a friendship ending, or me working through my own insecurities. Like I've been writing a lot of music that I'll be putting out next year. And I realized like one of the main themes is this idea of why. Like, why am I here? You know, why did I hold on to this relationship for so long? Like, why do I have so much shame around who I am? And it's been it's been like a really beautiful journey to kind of explore those concepts and really challenge myself to really dig deep and 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 also be okay with like, I don't have the answer. Like, so I think that's one of the biggest lessons from it. So I think through my music and through what I do, I think it can promote a lot of positivity if the intention is positive. And it can really give people the opportunity to be okay with asking why as well, and hopefully getting to a place where maybe they find an answer, but also being okay if they don't find an answer, and still recognizing like, I'm still good if I don't have the answer. Like, I'm still okay if I don't have the answer. I'm still thriving and I'm still going through this journey, even if I don't have the answer. But I'll continue to like figure these things out day by day, you know?
Absolutely. How did you come up with the concept, or where were you inspired to go with the name Vince the Alien?
Honestly, I thought it was kind of fun. But it's just kind of a silly name. But also, I think also it does kind of tie back to that story of just like growing up feeling different. You know, like besides the, you know, who I am as a queer person, like I think growing up I felt different as a Black person too. You know, I was like really into Nine Inch Nails. I loved Radiohead. Like I go hard for Royce and Murphy. Like there's all these artists that aren't particularly like always in the library of Blackness, these stereotypical expected ideas of Blackness. And I think, you know, I was ostracized at times from my own community too, you know, for maybe not fitting a particular idea of what Blackness should be. And I think thinking about all of these different examples of me growing up as a kid and feeling different and feeling ostracized and feeling like I didn't fit in here, or I didn't fit in here, and my family didn't fully understand me, the kids at my school didn't fully understand me, or they felt like I was just different. Like I remember first day of junior high was the first day I ever heard like about gangs. Like I remember going to school and some kid asking me like, what set are you from? Or no, where are you from? And I was like, oh, I grew up in the Ladera Heights. And he's like, no, what hood you rep? And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like literally no idea what you're talking about. And so, I mean, that just gives like an idea of like, it was a struggle, like trying to understand where I fit in so many different facets of my life. So I think this idea of Vince the Alien, you know, being a little kid in my room, like writing a bunch of poetry and writing a bunch of songs and having this like vivid imagination of creating my own planet. And like I had this strong vision of like drawing this blue planet where I just could like sit and like eat these really beautiful fruits. Like no joke, this was me as like an 11-year-old in my bedroom staring at a poster of B2K or something. I don't know. And like, you know, so I think that I've always kind of connected with this idea of like building my own planet and being kind of the person on that planet. So it kind of just led me to this idea of Vince the Alien, which I love, and it makes me happy.
No, it's so great, and it's so unique, and it really does inspire people to really look into their identity, right? But not necessarily their identity of what they do specifically for their 9 to 5, right? Because oftentimes people choose jobs just for the sake of earning an income. It's not for the sake of who am I? What am I here to fully represent, right? Because each of us have a very specific DNA code that we were brought to this earth to fulfill. And we're not just, I feel like we're all born with a very unique script, right? And we can rewrite that script any single day.
100%.
Every day is a new day to create a new opportunity. And so how are you going to write your script today? And so oftentimes, we get so confined in the parameters that we live in. There's so many people that never even leave their zip code, right? Or ever have an opportunity to leave the city that they were born in. And so it's so important for us to, we don't necessarily have to travel the world or even leave our city, but it really is important for us to ask these questions within ourselves, because we're not supposed to live a cookie cutter life. Our life is not supposed to look like our neighbors. We are all very uniquely designed, and it's really important for us to explore those unique giftings that we are typically drawn to. Now, how do you feel that you stay relevant, unique, and true to who you are as a person? And you've talked a lot about that already, but I want you to, go more in depth.
Yeah. I mean, you brought up a great point earlier around like social media, and I can't deny that it can have some negative effects in the sense of like you compare yourself to other artists, you compare yourself to other individuals. And so sometimes, that voice kind of creeps in. But I think there's also another voice in me that's like, you got to be confident in what you do and what you offer and what you are. And I think that's one of the beautiful things I really have loved about this experience, of Vince the Alien. It's really given me this opportunity to really be confident in what I do and know what I'm good at. And like, I know I'm a great singer. Like, I know that I can write great songs, and I know that I can be very vulnerable, and I don't have a fear of that. And so I think leaning more into that, as I've become a lot more confident in my artistry, I've had the opportunity to lean more into that thought of like the confidence aspect of it and knowing what I am good at. I still have that negative voice, of course. I don't think that ever goes away. That like inner saboteur that always wants to like thwart you from going with the other voice. And it's always a constant like battle of balancing between those two things. But I think ultimately what keeps me authentic to me is, my philosophy of like, I just want to understand myself better so I can accept who I am as a human more and allow opportunities for others to do it. And the way that I express that is through my music. And I know that through my music, there's certain things that I am good at, and I honor those things, and I'm thankful for those things. And I think that kind of keeps me focused on like, hey, even if I get a no from something, or even if this song gets 7 streams and this song gets 40,000 streams, I don't know. Like, at the end of the day, I'm expressing myself, and somebody is connecting with it, So in those hard times, I have to remind myself, like, hey, you just got to keep doing it because it's something that you love, regardless of who's involved, what the no is, what the like this could be better or that. It's just embracing what is important to me, and the opportunity to connect with other people, and just like continuing to expand on that as much as I can.
I've had an opportunity to witness a lot of your evolution over these last 14 years, and I have witnessed that your style of music has changed. I remember you being in an acapella group,
Yes.
group and doing a little bit more R&B, and just experimenting with different genres. I would say, how did you come to this evolution that you are now? In doing the type of music that you're doing now?
No, that's a good question. I mean, right now it kind of explain or describe my music as sort of like alt R&B. Because there's definitely some like soul influences within the vocals. Like I grew up really listening to like a lot of oldies, as we call them, our parents listened to. And but I've always been like a huge fan of like Van Hunt and Bilal, and listened to like Music Social growing up, Tweet, like all these artists, Jill Scott, like all Maxwell, D'Angelo, like all those kind of artists who really like gave you the goods, and like Erica Badu, like all those kind of like they really inspired me. But then, like I said, I also really always loved like Nine Inch Nails, Portishead, Tricky, like all these other artists that gave you a different side of it too. And so I think having the opportunity to go through those different genres and kind of play, because I also think playing is important too, like giving the opportunity to kind of hop in and kind of play with all the different crayons in the crayon box. Is that what it is? Or color, whatever that phrase is. But like having that opportunity really helped me mold myself into understanding like how I wanted to express my voice. And I think, this music that I've been working on and the music that I've released as vincethealien has been really beautiful because it's really the first time that I've been able to really know like this is what I want to sound like. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Confident in what I want to sound like. And it's going to continue to evolve. But I'm really proud that all of those kind of opportunities of being in an a cappella group and then being the lead singer of a prog rock band and then like kind of playing around with electronica music as like a producer and writing things, and then kind of hopping into like writing some stuff for house artists, and then getting to this place where it's like okay, cool, like I know that at the end of the day I want somebody to feel like they are in some central church getting a gospel lesson when I'm singing. And so cool, let's stack 50 harmonies, let's write these songs, and like it feels great and really amazing to be at this place where it's like, yo, like this is what I want to sound like, and it's actually coming out. And I mean, it's also thanks to my producer too. Like my main producer is this guy named Others 9000, and my main mixer is this dude named Mix Before Lasers, and they have helped me so much to really like hone in on that sound and support what I want to sound like. So shout out to both of them too.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And being in a city like Los Angeles, how do you how do you feel like that you fit in a city like Los Angeles where there's so many people that are trying to do music and
Yeah.
artistry? And I mean, we like to say that this world is so saturated by that specific realm that we're diving into, right? But do
Mhm.
you believe that it really is like that, or do you believe that there's room for everybody to succeed?
It's interesting. It's interesting. It's interesting when I think about the concept of LA because I think being like from here originally, I'm so not tapped into like the culture of LA in the sense of like people that move here and are trying to like become something. And there is a like, there's LA, Los Angeles, like people go day to day, living their lives. I would say I'm probably a little bit more in that group. And then there's like LA. Like I'm trying to get to Hollywood, like I'm trying to get to Drake's house for a party, like Chris Brown is at this thing, like all that stuff. I would not say that I'm attached to. Sometimes I feel like I should be, but I'm not. But I don't think about it, to be transparent, like I don't think about it too much. Like I don't think about that part of LA too much. I think the focus for me is like really just trying to get music out, and also like trying to meet people, of course, and trying to create something for myself. But I think when it comes to LA, I'm definitely a little bit more on like that day to day, really just like creating and having the opportunity to like write music and create what I'm feeling, as opposed to the hustle side of LA. There is definitely something, and this isn't me devaluing or down talking that hustle side of LA, because there's also a part of me that has been jealous of people who are able to really hustle. Because going back to your earlier question, actually, I think that is one of the impacts of me growing up as a kid, having that feeling of hiding. It really impacted this idea of me being able to hustle. It really put me in this position of like being afraid to hustle or being afraid to put myself out there in the way that maybe more people that are in this LA category are willing to. Um, and so it's also me like trying to learn what that looks like for me, what that balance looks like for me, going to therapy and my therapist being like, it's okay. Who you are is beautiful and valued. And now you just need to continue, you know that that part of music is important too. So now you just have to figure out a way of still maintaining your authenticity while understanding like how to put yourself out there more too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that's so great. And it's really important for us to recognize that when we are walking in our lane, when we're in our lane, we don't necessarily have to worry about what everybody else is doing, even in a rat race city like LA. Because I did that, I lived in LA for 2 years, and that's really what I did. It was like the hustle every single day, being in traffic. And at that time, I really didn't know who I was or really what I was doing at the time. I was just trying to survive.
Yeah.
And that's we get into the survival mode, right, where we're just grinding it out every single day, and that oftentimes it leads us down a rabbit hole, a very dark rabbit hole, and we don't even know how to get ourselves out of it, and then we don't really know what we're here to do. And that goes into my next question. Do you believe that the work that you do every day is aligned with your calling and your higher purpose?
I think to be honest, it's definitely still something that I'm figuring out. I think that me being creative is something that is aligned with what I find to be purposeful for me. And I think, as weird as it sounds, I think creating and curating, when I say curating, I mean like pouring into or nurturing the relationships that I have with my friends and my family and the people that I'm close to and the people that I love is a bigger part of the purpose for me. And like music is an expression of that purpose, because the purpose is to like love myself, learn to love myself, and also like remind people and allow people opportunity and space to be loved and to love themselves too. And so I think music is sort of like the expression, is an additional expression of that main purpose. So I think what I do on a day-to-day of being creative and expressing that creativity with, whether that's people through Instagram or any social media platform, or the people that are like in my life, I think that that is aligned with my purpose of having the opportunity to like connect with people and really say like, hey, let's have a conversation about, how we feel as human beings, and let's try to find some ground where we can work through that together and love ourselves and love each other and understand ourselves a little bit more. I think that is like, I think that kind of ties into my purpose. And then, like I said, music is like the expression of that and is a gateway of an opportunity to connect with other people and to have those kind of conversations to tie into the purpose. Because I really honestly think my purpose at the end of the day, like I said, I know I keep saying this, but it's really like loving people. And because at the end of the day, to me, it's like all we can do is really like love people and learn to love ourselves, and really hope that we leave our planet or the next generation or or our friends, our family, whoever, like in a better place. And we can continue to spread this opportunity of acknowledging our worthiness and acknowledging our impact, and knowing that we can have an impact on people in a very positive way. And I'm thankful for the people that have invested in me. You're one of them that invested in me as a human being and have helped me along this journey to really understand like, hey, you're worthy. Like, don't forget that, and I want to have that opportunity to do that with other people. And music allows me the opportunity to do that But it's like it's a root. It's a root of the purpose, but it's not the like full purpose. Yeah, hopefully that made sense.
Absolutely. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
our purpose really here on earth is just to serve, right? To go through
That's
the
great.
process
Yeah.
of understanding ourselves, like you said earlier. I remember the conversation that sparked this conversation of life philosophies and cultures was a conversation that I had with my father last summer. And I asked my father, who is now 74 years old, and he is an immigrant that came from Chihuahua to New Mexico to provide a better life for his family. So he has had quite a journey at 74 years of age. And when I asked him that question, he responded with, I just want to know myself well enough to know exactly who God is, who our creator is, right? And so that was like, it was like a mind expansion moment for me, because I realized that we don't really have to strive to be this anything, right? Like this big have a big title, or strive to have this the definition of what society says success is, right? It really is just coming to the conclusion that just by breathing, by having breath and being able to express ourselves, and to be able to know yourself, or at least know yourself well enough to know who your creator is, that is the greater purpose. Because when we know who our creator is and when we love ourselves, we are able to extend that so freely to others without judgment. And we are able to extend more grace, more compassion, more empathy, pretty much all the characteristics that make up a decent human being.
Right. Foundationally. Right. No, that's
And we need more decent human beings on this planet, for sure, on this planet that we call Earth.
yeah, seriously. No, we definitely do. Because I mean, I think a lot of our experiences, and not going into like a whole like social political aspect, but just our own individual experiences can easily make us the opposite. You know, like there's so many things that we all go through as human beings, unique experiences, shared experiences that really can mold and shape how we respond to things. There's also there's like a validation thing too. You know, if you are someone that gets quick to anger and someone validates that, that becomes a part of your personality. You know, that becomes a part of that act. And you can like quickly, you start getting into that role of always responding with anger, or always responding with love, or responding with hiding, or always responding with frustration, or being passive, or escaping, or like, well, all these little things that we kind of, our experiences start to validate how we act. And I think it can be so easy for us to go the opposite way. And I've been in dark places, you know, like where I've never been in a place where I felt like I don't want to be on this earth, but I've definitely been in places where I felt like crying, just being like, why am I here? You know, like, why am I even existing? What is the reason I'm on this earth? You know, like, and those were really hard places to be in. I'm thankful that I had my family and my friends, you know, and my partner to like help me pull myself out of that. But I think there's so many opportunities for us to go the opposite way. And I think that's what inspires me too, to like try to, I'm not always great at it, but try to love people, like, and meet people where they are, you know, and hope that other people meet me where I'm at too. And just try to walk through this life together in love instead of like the opposite. Because like I said, it's so easy. It's so many things that can make us go the opposite. You know, like, I mean, we can even look at these past 2 years. There's just so much stuff going on, so much. And our generation and the generation under us, we're inundated with negativity all day, like all day. And it makes sense, to be honest, sometimes that people are like, yo, like, forget this world. Like, what is happening right now? You know? But I think it's also important for us to remember there's also so much positivity that's happening in this world too. There's so many great things that are occurring, like these types of conversations. And there are politicians who actually care about the world. And there are young people that are fighting for climate change or for, you know, better experiences for humans that might feel ostracized or are different. You know, like there's so much positivity happening in this world. It's just unfortunately we're not inundated with the positivity all day, you know.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because this is another inspiration behind this platform. Because even though there is we can call it a spiritual war zone, we can call it, the end of the world, whatever you want to call it, it really is the perception of what's happening in the world that really makes the difference. Because we have a choice every single day to turn off our social media outlets, or to not watch TV, or to not watch specific broadcasting that is bringing negativity. It exists. But if you think about it historically, even if you go back to biblical times, war was happening from the beginning of time. It's always been a part of our human evolution. So I like to highlight the triumphs that are happening in this world and the people that are actually working. And it's not, we're not trying to strive for perfection, because what does that even mean, right? What does perfection?
It doesn't even exist.
It doesn't even exist. I'd like to say that we are all perfect. We are perfectly designed as we are. And the more that we embrace that perfection within us, because I believe that we are all truly a human representation of God. Each and every single one of us is a human representation of God. And so the way that you look at yourself, the way that you perceive yourself in the mirror, is oftentimes the way that we perceive the world that we're experiencing. So it really is important for us to highlight these conversations, because every single one of us, including myself, and a lot of people say, well, you look so confident and you look like you have it all together. Well, let me tell you that just like Vincent, I've had to do a lot of internal work, a lot of healing work, a lot of just really having that inner dialogue with myself, and even seeking out help. And we all need that. We all need to have that dialogue, whether it's with a therapist, a psychiatrist, a counselor, a good friend, a pastor, whoever you tend to go out to seek for that sovereign wisdom, because it's so important when we're going through this healing evolution that we seek out sovereignty, right? Not just your friend that is going to relate to you on everything, or even talk bad about the situation that you're going through, or not really allow you to see things from a higher perspective. Because every experience, you have an opportunity to look at it from a higher vantage point. And these conversations are so important for that reason, because everybody has a story. Everybody has had bad experiences from their own perception of time, right? So it's really important for us to be able to talk about this, because even when we just verbalize it, when we speak our truth, that is a healing process as well. That's a part of the healing process. And it really allows us to step more into our divine purpose when we do that. Would you agree?
Oh, 1,000%. 1,000%. I agree with everything you just said. I think that, I think you hit it on the head with, we are all designed perfectly. But then we end up being trained that we're imperfect, or that we are broken, or we need fixing, or we're, all these damaged, all these types of things from this outside perspective, but like you said, everything in us is perfect. And the more we accept that in a way of humility, like, because humility is important too. but I think in an acknowledgement of like, you know what, who I am is perfect. And I am good with that. And through that perfection, like I can start to recognize, well, what are some of the things that have caused me to be a certain way that might be damaging me or hurting others, you know, and starting to like unlearn some of those things. And so I 1,000% agree with you, and especially on the part of like being okay to ask for help. I think a lot of us struggle with that, you know, out of fear, you know, out of shame, out of embarrassment, out of feeling like someone may not hear you or see you or understand you. But for my own personal journey, I think if I didn't have a therapist from like college up, I'd be a totally different person. I'd be a totally different person, you know? And I also recognize that like therapy is not something that everyone can afford. Like therapy is not something that everyone can like just go and get. But I do also think that there's a lot of resources out there to help in those kind of cases. Because I do think it's important to have someone to talk through things with that isn't fully biased and can understand you, but can also challenge you to think about it from a different perspective or to understand a different perspective. Or, you know, like I think about, you know, us as kids, we don't understand our parents' perspectives. We're just like, oh, mom's being mean, or dad's horrible, or whatever. And then you get older and you're like, oh man, like mom was like working 10 jobs and my dad was doing 40 jobs, like there's all these things that you just don't think about. And then you start to realize like, oh, well, that's maybe why mom was angry that one time. Like it may have impacted me and it may have not been the best way for her to respond, but at least now I can understand, oh wait, like she had a long day. Like she just worked 8 jobs today and now she's coming home to me being a brat. And like, but now I start as at this age, it's like now you start to understand these different perspectives and you start to understand like why people may respond a certain way. Or and so I think, but I learned all that stuff through like therapy, you know, and through having some of my friends, which I'm so grateful for, are the type of friends that will challenge me. And they'll be like, hey, I hear you, but like, what if you think about it from this perspective? I'm like, do you like, I can understand why this person may have thought this or responded this way. Like, can you think about why you responded the way you responded? And I'm like, let's figure that out, you know? So I do think it's super important, like I said, ask for help and just having people around you that are willing to challenge you and who you trust and you have a safety with. So you can also allow yourself to be open to the challenge, because that's also a hard part of the journey too, is allowing yourself to be willing to like, okay, I hear you and I'm not going to react and in anger. I'm going to hear you and understand what you're saying and maybe think about it from a different perspective, you know? Perspective is so important.
Perspective is everything. And I feel like
Yeah.
the more you allow yourself to have experiences, the more your perception expands. And
Yeah.
even, having an opportunity to have this dialogue with a variety of people, because through this playlist, you will find a variety of people from so many different walks of life, different age groups, different perspectives, philosophies, genders, even belief systems, right? But regardless of where you come from or what you believe in, it's really important for us as individuals to not neglect the fact that we are all uniquely designed and that you don't necessarily have to adopt somebody's belief system as your own, or
Mhm.
even if you believe that this person's belief systems is not the right way, it's not the gateway to heaven, that's not the way that we should perceive how we live out this human experience, because it really is important to embrace people for who they are and to love them
Yeah.
unconditionally. You don't necessarily have to let them in your circle, right, of influence, because our circle of influence is a choice. But it's also really important for us to open up our ears to listen to people's stories and to really understand why people operate the way that they do, because not everybody's going to think like you, not everybody's going to act like you, not everybody's going to do what you do, and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to just accept people for who they are, and to really embrace our humanity as a very diverse humanity, because we are a very multicultural group of people that are living on this planet, and it's so beautiful. It's such a
It's
beautiful thing.
gorgeous. Yeah.
There's so much color in this world, and it's so beautiful to learn from people's experiences and embrace them. What practices would you say you implement to stay grounded and divinely connected to yourself and your creator?
I know you can't see my full office or my full house, but plants. I mean, realistically, I know it sounds so small, but honestly, I probably started becoming obsessed with the idea of like propagating plants and just taking care of plants in 2018. And they have taught me so much. Like God has taught me so much through them, taught me so much about patience, taught me so much about being okay with stopping, allowing myself to rest. Like the idea that plants like, no, there's this season where I want to grow, and then there's this season where I need to chill out, conserve my energy, not put so much energy into growing, relax, and then allow myself to grow again in the next season. Like little things like that have like really taught me so much about my own experience and who I want to be and how I want to, sort of understand myself more. So I would say like taking care of plants has been such a beautiful experience for me. I think another thing too is writing a lot of poetry. I think like allowing myself to kind of be this vessel of writing out how I feel, or writing about my perspective or other experiences that I've had, or from friends telling me about experiences. I think it allows me to kind of have a deeper understanding of who I am and a deeper understanding of what I might be thinking or kind of going through. And I'm grateful that I have that gift of writing and that gift of being able to communicate, because it helps me understand myself more and it helps me understand my relationship to God more. So I'd even say like taking care of plants and then allowing myself to just be creative. I think those are two things that really connect me to, to God and that relationship and who God is to me and how that is something that's super important to me. And honestly, probably going for walks. I mean, walks always help. It kind of quiets my mind a bit, because I feel if I sit too long, my mind just goes a bit crazy. Like I just think about so many things. So going for walks and like and that's another thing with the plants too, it gives me an opportunity to just like pause. I'm focusing on like taking care of this plant and making sure that it has its nutrients, making sure it has fertilizer, making sure it's watered, making sure that it's growing okay, making sure that I'm pruning any plants that are dying. So like it's not giving all the energy to the things that are dying. And that can allow itself to produce more life. And then walking, like I said, just gives me an opportunity to like shut my brain off for a second.
Is that easy for you to do?
No. It's not. Sometimes I feel bad. Sometimes I feel bad for my partner because he'll wake up and I'm like, all right, so today, here is the list. This is what we need to take care of. And he's like, yo, it is 8 a.m. Like, I'm like, I know, but I've been up since 6. So like, yeah, no, it's not easy to shut my brain off, but taking care of the plants and walking and being creative actually allows me, like writing songs and writing poetry is like moments where I'm like really like, okay, I'm not overthinking anything. I'm having a moment of just kind of being connected. Like my feet are planted right now and I'm like connected to what I'm doing right now.
Has it always been easy for you to express yourself through writing?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been I started writing poetry when I was like maybe 7 or 8. I'm sure if I went back and read some of that, it's probably not great, but I've been writing since about 7 or 8. And Yeah, I think writing is always kind of like very easy for me. I've always loved it. I've always felt like it was just a really great medium to communicate and to be creative. And like I said, being in my head as a kid and kind of hiding and creating these universes, like I think having that vivid imagination like gave me an opportunity to really like communicate that on paper. And I'm really grateful for that. And I that's one thing I am very grateful for my family about too. There's plenty of things I'm very thankful for my family from. But my grandfather in particular has always been such a big proponent for like teaching me how to communicate and to use words. Like when I was a kid, he read me the dictionary to go to sleep. No joke. And my grandmother was like, "Oh, you want this is like pre Google." She was like, "Oh, you want to figure out what that is? We have a line of encyclopedias in the garage. So go and grab an encyclopedia." Like they're both like educators and both are very like, we see that you have a skill of writing, so we're going to do everything to make sure that we nurture that. So I'm really grateful that my grandparents really invested in helping me learn how to write and be so focused on it. And it's helped me a lot in communication, which is great.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And what words of wisdom would you give to those seeking a deeper understanding of themselves?
That's good. I think I was gonna like try to come up with like a phrase, but honestly, I think the thing that just like keeps repeating in my head is like be patient. I think that's like the most be patient with yourself. Like I think that we all can be so hard on ourselves to some extent. Um, and I think it is really important to just be patient with yourself and understand that it is a journey and understand that everything is not going to come to you. You're not going to have all these realizations in one moment and then wake up and be like, I got it. You know, like it really is a day by day process. And I think allowing yourself to be patient with you and also being patient with others, which I actively still am working on, you know, I think really allows you to be open, like we're talking about, like being open to perspective, being open to loving other people, and also just being like able to love yourself and honor yourself because it is day by day. I feel like actually that's probably the phrase day by day because I say that a lot to myself. I say that to my friends when they're going through things, my family, my mom. My mom hates it when I say it to her. And I'm just like, hey, day by day. Like there's only so much you can do. Um, so just be patient with yourself and be okay that you don't have all the answers today. Just know that we have this journey along this life and we'll be figuring out new things every single day. So be patient.
Yes, patience is definitely a virtue.
Mm-hmm.
And we develop patience through the experience and the journey. And the more that we're able to um, fully understand our journey as we go through it, we develop that resilience and that tenacity and that strength and that patience that doesn't necessarily come overnight. It's definitely a process to be able to get to that place of deeper understanding, I'd like to say, because again, we don't ever fully arrive and we'll never fully know everything because we are
Mm-hmm.
students. We are forever students as long as we're here on this planet. And the more you're able to embrace that concept of being a forever student, the more you're able to give yourself grace through this process and really just allow yourself to be human and
Mm-hmm.
just to experience the process every single day. And it's a day in and day out process. So when you go to sleep, it's almost as though you're dying to yourself and your body is literally
Mm.
regenerating through the night. And then the next day you wake up and you literally have a new opportunity. This day has never been here. This is a completely new day in history. And when we do it all over again, right? And then we wake up the next day and we look back at yesterday, it's already history.
Mm.
it's no longer here,
Yeah.
right? It's just technically an illusion and a memory in our mind, right? So we can recreate the experience every single day as we move forward in our human experience. And it's so beautiful when you
It
embrace that
is.
concept. So beautiful when you embrace that concept, because you do develop, you're able to develop that patience and within yourself, and to recognize that you don't have to have anything figured out.
Mhm.
Nobody
No,
does.
that is like that is like freeing. It really is. It's like it is okay if you don't have it all figured out. Like it is such a freeing feeling because I think it feels so much pressure too. You know, like we are trained from being a kid, like you have to figure this out. Like people are asking kids in junior high what college you want to go to, and you're like, bro, I'm in the 6th grade. Like I hadn't even thought about that. You know, so in the head, it is such a beautiful and freeing thing to be like, it's okay if you don't have it all figured out. It really is such a beautiful thing.
It is definitely a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. And I'm just so grateful, Vincent, that I was able to have this conversation with you, and even just have a deeper understanding of your journey. And I mean, we didn't even hit like there, I mean, we just hit like a small little portion of
It's a teeny
the
tiny.
evolution of Vince the alien. And it's been
It's
such a
fun to
pleasure.
say, right?
It is.
Love it.
Because we are, right, we are all very unique, and it's almost as though we are all aliens and we don't even know.
Yeah,
I don't even know, right? I'm
that's real. We have no
just like
idea.
you. I'm figuring it along. I'm figuring it out right along with you. So it's beautiful. It's really, really great to know. And I think 2020 was it was definitely the revealing year, right? Where we recognized that we have no idea, like nobody knows, right? Nobody
Mhm.
anticipated it. Majority of us, especially in our generation, has never really experienced anything like this.
Yeah.
And I learned more than ever before the importance of adaptability,
Mm.
and just really understanding the importance of change and embracing change, right? Because change is the only constant that we'll ever experience in this world. But oftentimes we resist change because of all of the discomfort that's associated with it.
Mhm.
And I even think about this through my own personal transformation journey, because I'm definitely not who I was yesterday. I'm definitely not who I was last year, or even when Vincent and I had an opportunity to come into union together, right? Because we like it's so amazing, because oftentimes we don't realize like how our interactions with people really impact the way that we think, right? Especially if we have very intimate interactions with people,
Mhm.
and not necessarily like sexual intimacy, right? Because
It's connection.
intimacy,
Yeah.
it's connection
Mhm.
is intimacy. And when you're able to know people at a deeper level, it really does impact the way that you think. And that's why I really love to talk about the power of influence, because we don't necessarily, or we think that we didn't choose our family, right, lineage. I truly believe that it was written, right, when we signed our
Mhm.
soul contract before coming to this planet. But we do have an opportunity, and we do have the power to choose our circle of influence as we continue to live our lives, and we choose who we spend the most time with. But it's those sometimes quick interactions that could even change or pivot the way that
100%.
the way that you end up continuing to live your journey. So it's really important to continue to have these conversations, and I'm so grateful that God gave me the opportunity to be able to facilitate these conversations with so many different types of people, because through my journey I've had an opportunity to have hundreds of thousands of conversations with so many unique individuals. And it's so great to be able to create a platform, to be able to have these conversations for the public to be able to see
Yeah.
it. And whoever joins in on this conversation today, or any of the other conversations that we have on the Collective Conversations playlist on this Cultured Society platform, please take the time to ask yourself these questions, and it's okay if your philosophy ends up changing throughout your evolution. And that's really what it's about. And we are here to continue to inspire change within you, because we have the ability to change the trajectory of our life every second of the day. And if you don't like where you are today, make a decision to change it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any finishing statements that you'd like to add, Vincent?
I mean, you just said it beautifully. You really did. Like, it's beautiful. I mean, you really hit it on the head for me when you said understanding the way that people operate. Super important. You said that earlier. And also, like you said, it's really beautiful to get the visual of going to sleep, dying to that previous day, and then like having the opportunity to start a new day. And recognizing that this day like never has existed in the history, of time. It's such a beautiful thing. So you said it very, very beautifully. And thank you for having me. I really, really appreciate it. I'm so grateful that you and I have been friends for 14 years, which is insane to think about. And, I'm very proud of you, and I'm proud of you creating this opportunity to facilitate these types of conversations, because like you said, they are super important. And for those who do listen to this one and other videos, like, make sure you support, because this is super important, and there are not a lot of opportunities for people to have these types of conversations. So I'm very proud of you, and I acknowledge you and honor you for doing this, because it's such a beautiful thing.
Thank you so much, Vincent. I truly appreciate it. And please, if you are watching these videos and you are on this platform, please take the time to subscribe to this channel, like this video, comment, share it with people that you love, because these conversations need to continue to happen, because we are living in a time today where so many people are questioning their existence. People are transitioning to a different dimension because they're taking their own lives. And it's really important for us to recognize how valuable each and every one of us truly are. You are valuable, you matter, you are so worthy, you are so perfect. And we are just here to be a representation of you in your most perfect form. And we thank you so much for joining us today. Until next time, peace and blessings.